Bulldogs boys soccer team finished the year second place in the district, losing only to Prosper in the district play. They go and lose in the first round of the playoffs to a very talented Frisco Wakeland team. I'm joined by Tommy Sills, their head coach. And Coach, overall, what were your kind of impressions of the year for your team?
Well, we started out a little rough at the beginning because we had some really tough teams. That's always been my philosophy to, try to get as hard a schedule in preseason before district as you can, and it really paid off for us because, like I was telling you earlier, that the kids, I think, played their own game every single game from about the Centennial game on. They didn't play down to teams, and they played up to teams that we felt like were as good as us. I really wish we could have gone further in the playoffs, and I thought we would have gone further in the playoffs, but overall I'm very proud of what we did. We accomplished a lot, and I think the kids saw the improvement over the span of the last part of the season plus into district, and they did a great job. I was very pleased with what our turnout was.
And you started off 0-6, I believe, and then won 9 out of your last 13 games.
Right.
And so not only with non-district, winning a couple games going to district really helped the momentum, and then to start district, getting a couple wins, that really helped to improve the confidence of this young team.
Right. We beat Centennial 1-0, and that was our first, basically our first win other than the scrimmage against Lovejoy. And after that, we played Colony. I think we beat them 6-0, and then from there, the kids just got on a roll. And our first game against Prosper, it was a 4-1 game, but it really wasn't a 4-1 game. We had a couple of miscues that cost us some goals, but it was a lot closer. And of course, the second time we played Prosper, it was 1-0. They scored like 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the game. The kids really rose to the occasion. They did a great job.
It just seemed like overall in the year, including in the Wakeland game, the time that your opponents scored goals on you were just, at the worst possible times for you. Wakeland in that playoff game you mentioned to me earlier, they scored early in the game to have that 1-0 lead, and then they score late when you have to take the risk to push up and try and tie the game.
Right, yeah. Sean Martineau actually can play midfield. He could play anywhere on the front line. Does a great job. He plays right back for me, and I asked Sean, I said, Sean, please move up. We're going to go ahead and try to overload them, and a 1-0 loss, not any different than a 2-0 loss. It's still a loss. We don't get to advance. And at that particular time, we only had 3 defensive players when they scored that second goal. But Sean actually had a couple of opportunities to score, and we had some opportunities to score. Maybe should have done it a little bit earlier. I don't know. You're taking a big chance when you take a defensive player and push them up to try to score goals. But that's what we were trying to accomplish. That was our objective.
And it's always tough, in different sports, you have the same sort of scenario. Like in hockey, do you pull the goalie, at a minute earlier than you would maybe later?
Right.
And soccer, with the way when you have a clock that just definitely ends, you don't have the stoppage time like you do in professional soccer. It really makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. You see what's up on the clock, and you have that much time left. And I think we had like 3 minutes left in the game, maybe a little bit more than that. And I pushed Sean up and tried to create opportunities for us to score. And we had some, we just didn't finish.
You finished overall in the year 9-10, and that comes after an 0-6 start against really good competition.
Right.
Because, as you mentioned earlier, you want to play some tough competition and get yourself ready for district, which you went 6-2 in district, and your only 2 losses were to Prosper the Chant.
Right.
So, overall, very pleased with that district performance.
Yes, very much so. Wish we could have, played Prosper a little bit better in the first game, but it's just that happens sometimes. And I mentioned to the kids that game and the Little Elm game were 2 games that we felt like that kind of got away from us. But other than that, the other games we won big, or it was a close game. So the kids did a great job as far as the overall season.
Morgan Disney had another incredible season for you. He finished with 11 goals and 23 assists. Was a big goal scorer last year, but you put him into that different role to create more this year, and he ended up with 30 participating in 34 of your team's 40 goals for 85% of your team's total goals. That's just a phenomenal number.
That's unheard of. I mean, and Morgan did. He accepted that role right off the bat. And actually, some parts of the season, I actually said, Morgan, you got to start shooting more, because, he has a great shot. And I'm like, in practice, he's just bombing, shots from about the 18 in. I'm like, Morgan, and he said, Coach, he said, that's not my role right now. My role is to basically, help my team score goals, and that's assists. When you get 23 assists, I mean, he led the area, and I'm thinking in region he might even have been close to one of the top 5 in the whole region as far as assists. And he just accepted that role and did whatever it took to try to help his team.
And speaking of top 5, you said that Morgan Disney might be one of your top 5 players you've ever coached, period.
Ever coached, yeah, period, yeah. Yeah, he's going to the University of Dayton in Ohio, and they have a great program, Division I. And they're a good soccer program, and he'll do well there.
If there's anything Morgan needs to work on to even improve his game that much more at the University of Dayton, what do you think that would be?
It's like any kid going from high school to college, sport, strength. He has speed, he has skill, he has knowledge, he has the want to, he has all the tangibles. He's just going to have to get a little bit stronger, and that'll happen. That's that deal when you get out of high school, you start gaining a little bit more weight, and it always happens like that. So he'll get a little bit bigger and a little stronger, and be able to push people off of him that normally can body up on him and basically mark him. But he has the speed, he has the skill, he has everything you need to be a very successful college player.
Going into next season, always tough to retool after losing a player with the quality of Morgan Disney, but you have another player in Kyle Biggio, a sophomore this year, that has some similar numbers and some similar traits to Morgan.
Right, exactly. I think the only thing that separates Kyle and Morgan is probably the speed. Kyle's going to have to work, we're in the offseason, we're going to have to work on some speed. He has great ball handling skills, he has great knowledge of the game, he has good vision, has a great shot. His deal is he's just going to have to get a little stronger and a little faster.
And Kyle, 10 goals, 12 assists on the season.
Right.
Great numbers as well. Justin Adler also had a great season with 7 goals and 3 assists.
Right. Justin Adler was a senior, and he took that senior role in the middle. And I coached his older brother, and I actually told his dad, I said, I saw some visions of your older son, who was a great player too. And he did what he needed to do at times and created a lot for us. He was kind of that leader in the middle that really kept us glued together.
You mentioned Sean Marno earlier, one of your best defensive players.
Right.
You also have a lot of young, up-and-coming defensive players you like moving forward.
Right. Anthony Sanders is one. Mark Keno is another. Of course, Cody Ludwig has started pretty much since he was a freshman. Well, he played on the varsity as a sophomore. He's a junior, going to be a senior. Cody Ludwig, actually, he can play anywhere. He played forward, he played midfield, and he actually played defense for us. So next year, just kind of looking at where our team is right now, probably will keep him in the midfield area, but he's a kid that I can put back in the back, and he has midfield skills, kind of like Sean, to move the ball up. Of course, Anthony Sanders came on really strong for us in the end of the season. And I got Mark Aquino, a sophomore also, that's going to be on the team next year. Got some good kids coming back. I hate losing my seniors. The most important thing about this group was they were really a lot of fun to coach. A great group of young men, as you'll probably be able to point out here in a minute, because one of my kids got Scholar Athlete of the Week, #1 in his class. I've got so many kids in my program that academics is, what I try to preach to them is #1, then soccer comes after that, and they do a great job in the classroom too.
Yeah, and one more thing about your team, as far as you as a coach, it always makes your job a little bit easier as a coach when you have so many options to work with, because you have so many players that are coming back that play different positions. Yeah,
and this team I've got coming next year, I have a lot of kids that can play a lot of different positions, so that really helps you, get into the swing of what's really working best for you. And after the preseason of this year, we totally switched our formation, and we totally switched some of the guys and what's going to work best for us. And those 9 out of 13 games, we had totally switched our formation and switched some kids from defense to offense, offense to defense. And when you have that nucleus of being able to switch your kids and they can play, like a utility player, they can play wherever. It really makes your team better.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us
today.
My
pleasure. Thank you.
Good year for McKinney North Bulldogs. They finished 2nd in district. They lost to Frisco Wakeland, unfortunately, in the first round of the playoffs. Wakeland, by the way, in the 3rd round, moving on to take on Frisco Heritage. So both Frisco teams taking on each other there in the 3rd round. And we will have our Scholar Athlete of the Week from McKinney North coming up in just a little bit on the show. This week's Dennis Baker State Farm Scholar Athlete of the Week is Justin Adler from McKinney North High School. Justin, a senior, is a 4-year varsity letterman on the Bulldogs soccer team and was a team captain this year. Justin has a 4.0 GPA and scored a 34 out of 36 on the ACT test. Justin has a full tuition scholarship to attend the University of Texas in Dallas, where he will study biochemistry. That's Justin Adler from McKinney North High School, our Dennis Baker State Farm Scholar Athlete of the Week. You can just about put this episode of Sports Talk in the books. Remember, Boyd's boys soccer team plays Mesquite Horn in the second round, and McKinney takes on Laundry. A big shout out to the McKinney ISD girls soccer teams. McKinney North beat Frisco Centennial 2-1 in overtime to win their first round game before defeating Carrollton Creekview 4-0 in round number 2. They take on Frisco Liberty next, 6 o'clock Thursday at Lovejoy. McKinney defeated district champs Richardson Pierce 1-0 and play Mesquite Horn in the second round Friday night, 7:30 at Plano's Clark Stadium. Finally, Boyd prevailed 2-0 over Sunset and play Saxe in the second round. The time and date was not yet listed. Thank you for watching this episode of Sports Talk. I'm Tyler Sloan. Have a great week.